On today's show, the very latest with Alex Ovechkin's status and who needs to be the next man up in his absence.
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, hello and welcome into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Dan Holme. I've covered the Capitals for the last 3 seasons for Locked On and various other outlets before that. I'm also the host of the weekly show called The Capitals Minute Cast, available wherever you find your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So in this edition of Locked On Capitals, I talk about the very latest with Alex Ovechkin. Everything was going so great this season. It seems like they could do no wrong. Lars Eller came back to the team. The third line was solidified. The net minding situation, the forwards, the defense. Alex Ovechkin was scoring goals on the regular. And then a worst case scenario happened, I guess I'm going to say, in this earlier part of the season, as Alex Ovechkin is now listed as week to week. What can we expect from Alex Ovechkin, and when do we think we can see him return? I'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll talk about that despite the fact that Alex Ovechkin is week to week, I think that this team is built to overcome adversity. I'll talk about that. And then a little bit later, I'll talk about Ivan Miroshnichenko and the latest with Sonny Milano. But just to get it going here, that was the big news. Of course, that Alex Ovechkin, great season. Many people thought he was going to pass and catch Wayne Gretzky around February or March. And then something crazy happened in Utah as he had that almost knee-to-knee contact with McBain. What they're saying is lower leg, but in any event, it was said today that he is week to week. So definitely not an optimal situation for Alex Ovechkin as he is chasing down the great one, Wayne Gretzky, and also not really great for the Capitals as things, were going so well, and I think ultimately will go so well. But definitely, I think the Capitals took a step back. So what was the latest as Spencer Carbery addressed the media and was also on the Junkies radio show this morning as well. So earlier this morning, Spencer Carbery provided an update confirming that Ovechkin will be missing some time due to an injury he sustained during Monday's game against the Utah Hockey Club. And it was one thing that I've watched the replay many times, and I think that I want to lean for and say that's where it was dirty. That's where McBain went wrong. It was knee on knee. It was deliberate. It wasn't the case. I did not see any evidence of that, despite the fact that I heard quite a bit of chatter on social media saying that it was. And then Spencer Carbery, also on the Junkies radio show this morning, saying that he watched it multiple times and did not see that as well. It was his assessment that it was McBain skating the wrong route and just kind of reckless out there. But in any event, a historic first stop for Alex Ovechkin in the Capitals in Utah, and not historic in a good way, if you know what I'm saying. So the details of the injury: during a collision with Jack McBain, Ovechkin suffered a knee-on-knee injury. That is what's being said. Coach Carbery stated, quote, "He is going to be out for a little bit," unquote. And on the show this morning on the Sports Junkies, they pressed him humorously that, say, what is the status? Is it an MCL? Is it an ACL? Is it a bone bruise? Of course, he wasn't able to divulge the nature of the injury other than to say that it is week to week and he is going to be out for a bit. And that comment is a bit interesting. I've heard that kind of talk from different coaches, that kind of thing before, that they're going to be they're week to week. That I think that ultimately they don't have a definitive answer. Some of the speculation out there is that it's going to be around Christmas time. which is quite a bit of time. But like I said, and I'll talk about in the next segment, is I think this team is built to overcome. Don't get me wrong, Alex Ovechkin has been on fire this season, scoring 15 goals already, leading the NHL in goals at the age of 39, or he was leading the NHL by goals in the last I checked when they were playing against Utah. But in any event, it was a tough break for Alex Ovechkin. And ultimately, all the questions that are now surrounding this team about can they overcome. So the current timeline for his return is week to week, but he reassured us that the injury will not end Ovi's season, unquote. So let me underline that again. He reassured us that this injury will not end Ovi's season, quote unquote, which is a relief for all of us who are Capitals fans. As again, a lot of surprises this year. I think that the Capitals playing this well is catching a lot of people off guard, and it's causing them to reassess how they judge how good a team is supposed to be doing. Again, I had that crossover episode with some of the fellow Locked On hosts from the Metro Division, and they all said, "Hey, Dan, we don't know how to tell you that we don't think the Capitals will make it to the playoffs." So defying expectations, Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals defying odds in what I view as a temporary setback. Now, week to week is a bit ambiguous, of course. He didn't say 2 weeks. He didn't say a week. It's week to week and is subject to change. I don't think that we will ever know the full extent until maybe after he returns. The nature of the injury, other lower leg, is a bit vague. But the fact that they did not say knee in particular is hopeful. We know that when it's MCL, ACL, that can be season ending. Now, the cautionary part for me in all of this, and it's an apples and oranges, not an apples for apples comparison, is when Tom Wilson got injured in the playoffs versus the Panthers, there was the belief that he was going to be back. That was more of a game-to-game situation and ultimately never returned. So I hope that it's not a situation similar to that. I know that it's said to be lower leg. So it's, like I say, not an equal comparison, but sometimes that's my fear, is that it might be more serious. But as we know right now, all we can take to the bank is that Spencer Carbery said that it is week to week. The injury, like I said, is classified as lower leg, and further evaluations are taking place. You got to know that the Capitals are having the very best medical staff assessing the situation and making the call about when would be a perfect time for him to come back. And as far as Alex Ovechkin is concerned, you got to imagine that he's pretty bummed out about the whole situation as well. I know that he said he doesn't really care a whole lot about catching Gretzky. He wants to win another cup with the Capitals, but that's lip service and a bit of deflection on his part. As you know, that he does care and ultimately, would like to be playing out on the ice. But the incident in particular, Carbery also addressed the incident with McBain, emphasizing that he believes that it wasn't intentional, like I said. So I don't think that was the case. So to any of the people out there that said, that McBain, he's going out there and he's purposely trying to hurt Alex Ovechkin, it is just not the case. Unfortunate. And, one of the things about Alex Ovechkin is that he is pretty durable. He has played through a lot of different injuries. So when I saw him get hit and I saw him go to the ice grimacing, I knew it was serious. When I watched it at first, I thought, was it knee on knee? Because sometimes in real time, you really can't tell. But watching the replay, I was quite convinced that it wasn't. But in any event, a scary situation, as this team has not been without the services of Alex Ovechkin in quite some time. He hasn't missed a whole lot of games based on injury. He's had personal issues and those kind of things where he's missed some time. But like I say, Father Time is undefeated, 39 years old. You necessarily don't bounce back as quick as you probably did in your younger day. And I think that even if this happened to a 25-year-old Alex Ovechkin, I still think he would miss some time. It just makes it sometimes a bit more complicated the older that you get. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, I'll talk about how this team is built to overcome. This team is built to overcome adversity. And ultimately, I view this as a blip on the radar. I don't expect the Capitals to take many steps back. What are my thoughts on the Capitals minus Ovechkin? I'll discuss next. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in place even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineups live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 bet. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And that's the frustrating thing for me. When my favorite band comes to town or my favorite sports team's playing, trying to find tickets. What is the view of the stage? Or what is the view of the rink going to be? It can be frustrating. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team. Every day you can find me over on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Locked On Cap. So this team is facing a setback, a major test of what this team is built around. Is this team just solely based on being successful with Alex Ovechkin in the lineup, or can this team fire back? Can they push back against quite a big setback? Minus Alex Ovechkin, the captain of the team. Like I said, as Alex Ovechkin goes, so goes the Capitals. How will the Capitals do with him being out week to week? Now, this injury is not just a blow for Ovechkin personally, but it also presents a challenge for the Caps in general. You take a look at it, especially as the Caps currently sit at the top of the Eastern Conference. These are the measuring sticks that, how is your team doing at the Thanksgiving break? How is your team doing around the trade deadline? Those kind of things that the Capitals right now are doing pretty good, as we are coming up on Thanksgiving here somewhat soon, that the team is doing very well. They are facing their first major test. How will they fare minus the great 8 and all that entails his 15 goals so far? As we know, Ovechkin is leading the league with 15 goals so far this season as he eyes Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. And again, to revisit, my projection to start the season was 35 goals. Many people before injury said that he was going to catch and pass Wayne Gretzky by February or March. I guess it depends. It depends how much time is he going to miss, and if he is going to catch Gretzky this season, will he be able to do that if he is out, let's say, until Christmas? It makes it interesting because this team, it's not just Alex Ovechkin. This team will ebb and flow. They're playing very well right now, but at some point there is going to be a hiccup in their game. I think that all things considered, even minus Alex Ovechkin out of the lineup, this team is truly built to do great things. So what it's about is Alex Ovechkin just stepping up and being ready for adversity. That's the big thing here. So as we approach the 1/4 mark of the season, the Capitals have been one of the NHL's notable surprises, holding a strong position at the top of the Metro Eastern Conference with a 13-4-1 record. just knocking it out of the park. And like I say, unfortunately, they have faced their first test. And they've hit a bit of a snag with the captain Ovechkin sideline due to a lower leg injury sustained during the impressive 6-2 victory over the Utah Hockey Club. It was impressive, make no mistake about it. But like I've talked about on the show, it does seem that it was overshadowed by the loss of Alex Ovechkin. Now, Alex Ovechkin, he's been labeled as week to week for recovery, and his absence poses a significant challenge for the team. In offensive performance, I think that they do have the depth just based on looking at the overall analytics, the statistics, not just Alex Ovechkin's alone. Despite the setback, the Caps are still lighting it up on the ice. Offensively, the team is averaging 4.33 goals per game. That is the best in the NHL and currently has a point total of 27. So that's what I'm talking about. That Alex Ovechkin, of course, scoring 15 goals has definitely helped the Capitals win some of these games. But it is going to have to be that next man up mentality. And I do think that this team is much different. I know it's a lot different than it was last season with the key acquisitions. Now, if this was last year's Capitals team and this had happened, I think the outlook would not have been nearly as good. So this goal scoring prowess includes Alex Ovechkin, who leads the league with 15 goals, his highest total through the first 18 games of any season. Let's underline that and talk about that a little bit. 39 years old and playing his best hockey to date. Generally speaking, it doesn't go that way. You play your best hockey in your younger day, and then it diminishes over time. As Alex Ovechkin edges closer to 40 years old, he is playing his best hockey. It kind of is baffling. So with 868 career goals, he is just 26 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's legendary record of 894. And my reaction, do I think that, even with this setback, do I think that Alex Ovechkin can catch and pass Gretzky? Yes, I do. As long as he is back by, I would say, the latest around Christmas. If it's later than that, say it's into January, or later than that, say all of a sudden they say it's week to week, but it's a little bit worse than we thought, that changes everything. I still think there is enough runway in front of him, even if he doesn't come back until around Christmas, that I still think he can get it done. And how is this team getting it done? I talked about Ovechkin, but it's also special teams and goaltending. The Capitals special teams are also noteworthy with a stellar penalty kill rate of 87.7, ranking third in the league. And those are the things that are going to help the Capitals weather the storm. That their special teams, their net minding, keeping them in the game, killing off penalties, that if you can get a lead, there's a good chance that with the PK and also great net minding that you can weather a tough storm. Now, goaltending as well has been solid. Logan Thompson with an 8-0-1 record since joining the Capitals from the Golden Knights, and Charlie Lindgren being a reliable backup. And you take a look at it. Is he a backup? It's kind of one of those things. Is it A and B, 1A, that kind of situation? What we do know is that the Capitals have a really great 1-2 punch in Logan Thompson and Charlie Lindgren. And I think that ultimately is what gives the Capitals some of their best chance of winning games. Even if it gets close, even if they stumble a little bit, that I think that with the PK, with the defense, I think the Capitals are in a really great position. So taking a look here at some statistics, while the Caps' offensive play has been a key factor in their success, it's clear that Ovechkin's contributions will be missed. Of course, there's no way of overlooking it. And, you can try to polish it any way you want. They will miss his goal scoring touch. But you have to overcome. It is a setback. So the Capitals currently outside the top 10 for shots on goal, but we maintain phenomenal shooting rates, 15% overall and 14.8 at even strength. Additionally, the Capitals lead the league in mid-range shooting percentage at 18.2 and rank second in long-range shooting. Before his injury, Alex Ovechkin had an impressive shooting percentage of 23.8%, well above his career average. Again, quite a stunning statistic that he is playing his best hockey at 39 years old. Definitely defying odds. So this team is built for great things, and they are getting contributions from some of their young and rising stars. So who could be the player that could step up and really take his game even to the next level? He's already really elevated his game, but who could really help the Capitals in the goal-scoring pursuit minus Alex Ovechkin? Connor McMichael. Connor McMichael is stepping into the spotlight, leading the team with 12 goals, which ties him for 5th in the NHL. This is a much different Connor McMichael than we've ever seen. You know, you take a look at it, he's grown by leaps and bounds. This is a player that has faced a lot of setback, getting sent down to Hershey, getting called up, getting sent down to Hershey, playing, you know, his native position is the center position, but finding a way to really thrive at the wing position with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Tom Wilson is a testament of what kind of truly great player he is. Most of his goals have come at even strength, showcasing his speed as he ranks in the 88th percentile. That is one of the things where he has grown by leaps and bounds is maturity, speed, not getting driven off the puck as easily as he has in previous years, that this is truly the best Connor McMichael that we have ever seen. And that in and of itself should give you a hope that the Capitals will do great things in Ovi's absence. Now, well, some players, have regression in scoring might be expected from players like Strome and Protas. We anticipate that others will step up, particularly on the power play, which has seen an uptick. It was one of their Achilles heels to start the season, but I think they have turned the page. With Ovechkin on injured reserve, we're looking towards newcomers like Pierre-Luc Dubois and Jacob Chychrun to help fill the scoring void, other than Connor McMichael. Pierre-Luc Dubois is a guy that is not lighting up the score sheet as far as goals scored, but he has been huge in Connor McMichael's success this season, along with Tom Wilson. So, but if we can see him find the back of the net with more regularity, and Jacob Chychrun, despite the fact that he's a defender, can chip in, as we know he is an offensive threat as well. So in conclusion, let's rally behind this team. That's all we can do. It's much too early to push the panic button. I know that being minus the captain, the biggest goal scorer right now in all of the NHL, is a really big thing that I'm trying to look away from. It's like the sun shining at you and you're like, it's not sunny out, it's cloudy. But the sun keeps shining at you. That's what Alex Ovechkin is. He is that sun that's shining, saying, I'm out of that lineup. And it's finding the way to block all of that out and say, I see you, son, but we're still going to find a way to overcome. This is a big setback. Alex Ovechkin scoring 15 goals is nothing to shake a stick at. It is a huge thing, and has, been a difference maker in games that the Capitals have won this season. They're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to be next man up. They have no other choice. All right, so coming up here straight ahead, I will talk about one of those players that is the next man up. Who am I talking about? I'll discuss straight ahead. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. And there is a lot of football that's played on any given Sunday or Monday or Thursday. And some of those games you're into and some of them you're not. But if you want to pique your interest, open up the FanDuel app, put a little bit of money on the game. All of a sudden, all of those games got that much more exciting. So just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. All right, welcome back into this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day, so it is the next man up. And there was a lot of rumblings. Who is going to be the next man up? Is it going to be, Pierre Dubé? Is it going to be Ethan Frank? Who is going to be the guy that gets the call up from Hershey? We knew there was going to be a call up at some point. As it turns out, it is going to be Ivan Miroshnichenko, who I have dubbed as Alex Ovechkin 2.0. Well, why? Because he plays the left wing and has a lot of some of the characteristics that Alex Ovechkin has. Now, one of the things that Spencer Carbery said is that he is not looking for Miroshnichenko to replace Alex Ovechkin. What he is looking for him to do is to fill a roster spot and play the best hockey that he can play. We don't know where he's going to slot in lines 1 through 4. That it could be Mangiapane that gets on the first line. It could be, that you take a look at Miroshnichenko, that he gets bumped down. We really don't know. But what we do know is that he was at practice and he is going to get his opportunity. Just like in a lot of other sports, sometimes injury presents an opportunity for a young player. In this case, Ivan Miroshnichenko. So just taking a look at his impact, the Capitals have officially recalled Ivan Miroshnichenko from the Hershey Bears in the AHL. This move comes in the wake of Alex Ovechkin's injury, of course, as we knew there was going to have to be a call-up. And it's interesting, I have wrote and rewritten the show multiple times today, as there has been different storylines, different narratives going on and on and on, that who's going to be the guy that gets called up. And then I had to rewrite the show yet again, as Ivan Miroshnichenko got the call up and is going to get his opportunity. So he did get this opportunity because Alex Ovechkin is on the injured reserve. And a little bit later, I'll talk about Sonny Milano. Sonny Milano also facing an upper body injury, being placed on the LTIR. The team needed to find some talent. And I think there's probably a little bit more than meets the eye with Sonny Milano. Is he really eligible, or is he really facing an injury that deems putting him on the long-term injured reserve, or is this just a way to be creative with the roster? I think the latter is probably true. Now, let's get back to Miroshnichenko. He is on fire. This guy has a trajectory that is pointed at the sun. I think that at some point, whether it's this season or in season to come, that he is going to be truly a dynamic player on the big team, the Capitals lineup. And at just 20 years old, he's already racked up 14 points with 7 goals and 7 assists in only 16 games in Hershey. So they were looking for the next guy up. I think they made the right decision. Now, you could argue if it could have been Frank, if it could have been Dubé. And we got an opportunity to see Dubé and these kind of players and some of the preseason. I think that Miro was the right choice. He's leading the AHL in points right now among players under 22. And if he keeps this up, we might be looking at a 36-goal season from Miro. So, definitely that's what I'm talking about. I talked about in the second segment that I think this team is built to overcome adversity. I think that Miro also fits into that as well. What a time for a call-up as the Caps look to fill the shoes of Alex Ovechkin. Don't blow it, kid. This is another opportunity under the big lights. Miroshnichenko also plays the left wing and shoots right. He actually idolizes Ovechkin and plays in a similar style. That is why I have said Alex Ovechkin 2.0, and definitely going to be a key piece once Alex Ovechkin hangs up the skates. So we're eager to see how he performs and where he slots in. I think it was the right decision, and this is going to be an excellent opportunity. If he can be an answer, at least in part, to make up for a lot of the goals that Alex Ovechkin scored and will not be scoring in his absence, I think that will be huge for his career. Sonny Milano is facing a setback as he is having a rough season. He's on the long-term injured reserve due to an upper body injury and hasn't seen action since November 6th against the Predators. Now, it is a bit conspiratorial that he had a penalty in the game and then didn't get a whole lot of activity after that. And we knew that he was in Spencer Carbery's doghouse. To say that he's on the LTIR, Is he really injured? I don't know. I'm just saying there is the possibility that he might not be injured. I've seen this movie before. If you're not an everydayer of the show, I spoke of that one time Alex Ovechkin was injured, and they asked him, "What is the nature of your injury?" And he replied to the reporter, "I don't know. What did they tell you?" So sometimes things can be finagled and maybe not being told the full truth. So this move means he'll miss at least 24 days and a significant number of games. Milano has only played 3 games this season and faced some time as a healthy scratch. So not looking too good for Sonny, but placing him on LTIR, it's not all bad. If you want to find a silver lining, frees up about $1.9 million in salary cap space for the Caps, which is crucial. Now, just a few days ago, the Caps were navigating a tight cap space, and now they have much more financial flexibility. It's definitely a silver lining, like I said, amid the injury woe. So, I knew it was too good to be true. The Capitals were not going to make it through this season without any major hiccup, whether it be in net, whether it be Alex Ovechkin on the blue line. Kind of seen a bit of tests already with Chikrin out of the lineup, with Roy missing quite a few games, that it is just the nature of the beast. You are going to be put to test. This is a major test. How will the Capitals weather the storm? Now, Spencer Carbery, what is his thoughts on Milano? He expressed sympathy for Milano, remarking, quote, "I feel really sad for Sonny. This is not the start to the season he expected, and it's not what we wanted as a coaching staff either. It's tough," unquote. Okay, I'm just going to take it for what it is. He said that, he didn't get a fair shake, that he only played 5 minutes in that one game, but then he was given another opportunity and didn't get much of an opportunity. Honest assessment, heart to heart here, I think that Sonny Milano's time with the Capitals is nearing an end. At some point, I think that he will not even be a part of the equation. And why is that? Well, because that third line is really buckled down now with Jacob Vrana, with Eller, with Mangiapane, and whatever that means going forward. So all things considered, it's a good opportunity for Miroshnichenko and a tough break for Sonny Milano at the end of the day. I wish him nothing but the best. Seems like a really great guy, but whatever that is, I want the best players out on the ice that are going to give the Capitals the absolute best chance at winning games. And right now on the third line, I say that it is Vrana. I say it's Eller, and I say that it's Mangiapane or whoever that is going to happen to be after the dust settles, if you will. All right. Once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals and making it your first listen of the day. For your second listen, find Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, once again, I want to thank you for joining me on this edition of Locked On Capitals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It is your team every day. My name is Dan Holme, and I'll talk to you again next time.